My friends at Easy Cater are workplace catering pros, helping you find food for everything from daily employee meals to staff meetings and special events. Visit easycater.com/leaderassistant to find out more.
I'm Mohamed Elzomor, and today's leadership quote comes from John Quincy Adams. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader.
The Leader Assistant podcast exists to encourage and challenge assistants to become confident, game-changing leader assistants.
And here's your host, my dada.
Hey friends, thanks for tuning in to the Leader Assistant podcast. Just a reminder to check out my book, The Leader Assistant, 4 Pillars of a Confident, Game-Changing Assistant. You can get it on Amazon. Just hop on amazon.leaderassistant.com, or you can listen to the audiobook on Audible or on Apple iBooks. To get straight to the Audible book, just type in audio.leaderassistant.com, and you can add that to your Audible library and listen to the audiobook. So hope you can check it out if you haven't already. If you have, maybe leave a review on Amazon if you enjoyed it. I'd really appreciate that. But yeah, it's been a really fun launch year. Sold a few copies, gotten a lot of feedback, mostly positive from people who have really benefited from the book. And I'm currently working on a discussion guide so that you can lead your own book club and kind of have extra questions to go deeper and guide the discussion time for a book club with a book. So hopefully that is helpful to you as well. Stay tuned on that. I'm early in the project, so probably won't be till 2021, but be sure to join my email list to get updates, leaderassistant.com/sign up to get updates on that. All right, let's jump into today's interview. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to the Leader Assistant podcast. It's your host, Jeremy Burrows, and I'm excited to be speaking with Mohamed Elzomor. Mohamed is a former personal trainer to celebrities, CEOs, billionaires, royal families. He's now co-founder and senior vice president of Nines, which is a personalized solution for sourcing, training, and management of housekeepers, nannies, chauffeurs, private chefs, and more. Mohamed, how's it going?
It's going pretty well. How are you, Jeremy?
Doing well. What part of the country are you in right now?
I'm in New York City. I've been here for a while, well, for many years, but in terms of, for the last few months, this is my home. This is where it goes.
Nice. So let's jump in and get to know you a little bit. I want to kind of talk about your story and how you got into personal training, and even specifically how you got into supporting and training celebrities and CEOs. So tell us a little bit about your story, and then I'm sure the listeners will kind of wonder how we tie this all into assistant world, but we will. So just jump right in.
Great. So I've got a long one, so I'll kind of put it in a nutshell for you. For the last 10 years, longer, 12 years, I've been working with CEOs, billionaires, very high-profile individuals. And obviously, I didn't start my career like that. I started by working at a Lucille Roberts and a New York sports club, making like $11 an hour. But I got fired from my job at New York Sports Club. I got kicked out of college. I was going to Baruch University at the time in New York City. And I was depressed. I had no direction, didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, no motivation whatsoever. And then I changed my mindset. I came across a book called The Secret. I read it. I applied it. Most importantly, I believed it. And I set new goals for myself. And I created a new reality for myself. So basically, the idea behind the book is if you work hard, you believe in yourself, you obviously put the work in, but you work hard, but you work smart, and you see it in your mind on a regular basis. You have to be able to see, taste, feel your success in your mind before it actually happens in your reality. So I actively did that on a daily basis. And then I would find myself in the situations that I literally imagined, weeks prior or months prior, years prior. at some point you can't exactly figure out, when it's going to happen, but you have to believe it's going to happen when the time is right. So I remember not having a job. I was out of work for about 2 years. And I read the book and I said, okay, I want to become a trainer again. I want to train, 4 categories of people: billionaires, CEOs, celebrities, royalty. I want to become one of the top trainers in the country. And I remember my friends thinking I was on crack or something. They're like, dude, you don't even have a job right now. So those are high aspirations. But I believed it and I started small, right? So I eventually got to where, I said I would be. It took years, not 6 months like I initially set out to do. But it worked, and I worked my way up. I got a job on the Upper East Side. I became the top trainer in my club there. I then became number 2 in the country out of my company, Sports Club LA. And then I literally Googled where do all the billionaires hang out. I found a bunch of clubs in Manhattan. I researched every single one of them. I thought the best one was the Core Club, so I got a job there within 2 weeks of knowing that it existed. I then became the top trainer there. I applied to all the 5-star hotels. One by one, I got a job at each one. I proved my worth, and then I became the go-to guy whenever head of state came in or the princess was in town. They would call me first. So thank God I've been very blessed. I literally got paid to hang out with really important and fascinating people. So you couldn't write it up any better. Very, very blessed, very grateful. So I'm in a good place now. I've done it for a few years, and I've transitioned into a new chapter of my life.
That's great. So what types of clients did you have? Can you tell us any fun stories?
Ooh, I have a lot of fun stories, most of which I can't speak about. I've had some really cool clients. Just to name a few, I've trained Jamie Foxx, Jeremy Piven. I've trained over 25 different Victoria's Secret models. That's actually what kind of gave me my spark. I guess once you train Victoria's Secret models, everybody else wants to train with you. As you mentioned, I've trained over 5 royal families. In terms of CEOs, I've trained the CEOs of Christian Dior, LVMH, T-Mobile, Sprint, SoftBank, Walmart e-commerce. I've trained the owners of several teams like the Milwaukee Bucks, the the Las Vegas Raiders now. Got to get used to that. The New York Giants, the New York Knicks. That also helps when it comes to getting really good seats at games, sitting front row. So you get your perks working with these people.
Awesome. So most of those people have personal executive assistants, and I'm assuming you had to coordinate with them. So tell us about your experience working with their assistants, and what did you see or hear from your clients as they referred to their assistants or talked about their assistants?
Sure. So I have all my clients' cell phone numbers, obviously, because you communicate with them on a regular basis. That being said, even if, let's say, I'm in the middle of a training session with one of them and I say, okay, great, when should we train next? They never know. They have no idea what's going on, an hour from now. It's always talk to my assistant, talk to so-and-so. And it makes you realize how important these assistants are to these movers and shakers. Like they seem invincible. They seem like they're on top of everything. They know exactly what's going on. They're so incredibly intelligent, but they cannot run their own lives without the help of their assistants. Their assistants are the superheroes behind the superhero. Right? It's actually incredible to see, and I give them a lot of credit because I need an assistant. It's hard enough to manage my own life. And I'm sure they have families, they have things going on, and yet they still have to be able to manage, a CEO of a company with like 50,000 employees and not make any mistakes. And if they make mistakes, everyone makes mistakes, to fix it, on a dime. Like, it's incredible. It's a lot of pressure. I give it to them. They're incredible people, very personable. I have great relationships with a lot of the assistants of my clients because I communicate with them on such a regular basis. So I definitely appreciate the position for sure. Just firsthand seeing how incredibly hardworking and organized they are. It's very impressive.
Yeah. So speaking of kind of the high pressure roles they have, a lot of assistants get intimidated when they have a big, when maybe the top exec or board member comes into the office and they have to welcome them, or maybe they dream of working for high net worth individuals or celebrities, but they're just like, what do I say? What do I do? How do I treat them? So any tips for working with people who, a lot of, people who look up to these celebrities just kind of freeze when they meet them
Sure.
or when they see them?
Sure. I guess there's a two-pronged answer to that. And before I even get to that, I'll give a quick example. I don't freeze up when I speak to billionaires and celebrities, obviously, because I'm used to it now. But I remember there was one time that I did. Hugh Jackman, Wolverine, was at my club, and I kind of purposely waited for him to come out of the room so I could ride the elevator with him, so I can pitch him, try to become his trainer. And I felt my face get red. I mean, like beet red. And I'm sure he saw it. And he was super friendly. He's like, "Oh, what's your name?" "Mohamed." "Okay, great. Next time I'm here, I'm going to give you a call." Still waiting for that call, Hugh.
Right.
But I got incredibly nervous, and right there, you lost it. Like, they don't want to work with people who feel like they don't belong in the same room, right? So that being said, you have to work your way up. You have to kind of fake the funk, but you can't fake the funk. They're going to see right through you if you're not confident, if you don't know what you're talking about, if you don't feel like you belong. So, and I'm sure your audience has heard this several times, but you gotta remember they're human beings just like you, right? You can't look at yourself, and just generally speaking in life, you can't look at yourself as being any lesser or more than anybody else. We're all equal. And if you remember that and you're confident in your abilities, you're speaking to just another person. As long as you treat them with respect, as long as you know what you're talking about, you're going to get a good response out of them. Now, that being said, obviously easier said than done. When I wanted to train celebrities, and I've never even seen a celebrity in person before, that's where the law of attraction, that's where like that book, The Secret, comes into play. I literally pictured myself training these people for years before it actually happened. And I know it sounds silly, I know it sounds crazy, especially the people who, they're more, I'm not a religious person, I'm spiritual. So I really think that, you connect to the universe, life has your back, it wants the best for you, but you can't sabotage your own success. You can't doubt yourself. You can't think negatively. You can't be upset. You can't take things personally. And if you can kind of filter your thoughts and change your attitude towards life and towards people, good things tend to happen to you. So as long as you remember those things and you actively engage in the proper type of thinking when it comes to attracting these high net worth or very high profile people into your life, you're going to find yourself in a situation where it's like, oh my God, I'm in front of the CEO that I said I wanted to work for. Now's your opportunity. You need to be prepared for it. All right. So obviously prepare for opportunity for when it comes, because if you have the right thoughts and you do the right kind of work and you put the work in, the opportunity will come. That being said, you have to work for the opportunity. Like I mentioned, I didn't just start training CEOs on day 2. I started by working at Lucy Roberts, and then when I learned The Secret and I said, okay, I want to train these people, I didn't start working at a billionaires club. I got a job on the Upper East Side where I knew I was, amongst a certain type of net worth of individuals where I'm getting a little closer to my goal. When it came to finding celebrities in particular, this may sound a little terrible or creepy, but it's true. My Instagram page is actually brought me a lot of success and clients, and I use it I definitely leverage it to my advantage. I would find out, okay, let's say I want to train this celebrity X. I'm going to find out who his or her friends are, who their makeup artists are, who their stylists are, who their agents are. And I'm going to reach out to every single one. And obviously it's a little different as a trainer than it would be as an executive assistant. But, you could just sub in the title. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is you do, find out how you can break into that circle. And it doesn't have to be the immediate circle. It could be the 5th ring of circles around that individual, and work your way into that intimate circle where people will refer you to your ultimate goal. It took me 2 years to get my first celebrity when I first set out with this with this strategy. And there were a lot of moments where it's like, what am I doing? I'm wasting my time. And I would literally like let's just use the Victoria's Secret models, for example. I would find out, like I said, the celebrity stylist, the hairstylist, the makeup artist. I'd bring them in for workouts. I'd invite them in for free workouts. And, if they like me, I'd have them refer me. And they don't necessarily have to refer me immediately to the celebrity, but maybe refer me to somebody else that the celebrity knows, or somebody else that knows a different celebrity. And you start to build your network. And that is by far the most important part. If you're not building your network, you're not going to get anywhere, because it's what you know. You have to be good at what you do, but it's definitely who you know, because it's who you know who's going to refer you to the ultimate person that you want to work for. And then, at some point you keep doing it and you keep doing it. And I literally gave like close to 1,000 free sessions over a 3-year period.
Wow.
And then it comes to a point where you don't have to do that anymore. Now all your sessions are paid and you have all the clients you want. So it's a struggle, but you have to do it with a smile on your face, and you have to do it every second of the way, knowing that it's going to be worthwhile in the end. Because if you doubt, that's when you don't end up accomplishing your goal and you just wasted your time. You cannot doubt. And when those doubts start to creep into your mind because you've been putting in so much work, that's when you know you're getting close. That's when you know that you're almost being tested. Your resilience is being tested. You just got to keep pushing. Good things are always bound to happen as long as you keep working and you believe in yourself along the way.
So to segue from that, you've now started a company, co-founded a company called Nines Living. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what your team is passionate about?
Yeah, absolutely. So the beauty of what came out of COVID, COVID was not a very good thing for many people. For my wife, for example, owns a gym. She's holding on by a thread. So, there's a lot of unfortunate things that came out of that pandemic. But thankfully, including my own business, which crashed by like 85% because everyone just picked up and left. But, something beautiful came out of it. And one of my clients, the co-founder of Jet.com and Diapers.com, we were doing a training session and we had an idea. He actually started with a joke that he made, and that kind of blossomed into Nines. So myself and my partner, Yako, we have a team of 11 people now, beautiful, intelligent, incredible souls. And we're here to disrupt the industry. And the industry is household staffing, where because of COVID, a lot of people, and it's a very antiquated industry. A lot of people get paid in cash. They're not getting paid legally, especially nannies and housekeepers. They're not getting paid on time. They're not getting overtime. They're being mistreated. In a time of social injustice and social awareness, you're talking about one of the largest working classes in the country, domestic workers, and they have the least amount of rights. And even when they do have rights, it's happening behind closed doors, so no one's enforcing it. So we're trying to create more value and a higher level of service for our members, for the principals, while creating a better quality of life for the staff. And what I was mentioning earlier, these people work for cash a lot of times, and then COVID hit, and they couldn't enroll for unemployment, and they literally couldn't feed their families. And they had to pray to God that their principals were generous enough to pay them while they weren't working. And, some did for a couple of weeks, maybe for a couple of months. But, 5 months in, chances are that's not happening anymore. So what do you do? I think the industry has hit a tipping point where maybe people wanted to get paid in cash before, but that's no longer the case. Assuming that they're legal residents and they can actually, get paid on the books, they're going to prefer that because you don't know what's going to happen next. And you have to protect yourself and your future and your family. So with our business model, we are providing, as you mentioned, housekeepers, nannies, private chefs, etc., to high net worth individuals. And we are taking all the legwork off of their plate. And when I say off of their plate, I'm actually saying the executive assistant and the personal assistant, because they're the ones that end up doing the work anyways. It's like, you have 1,000,001 things to do as a PA or as an EA, but go find me a housekeeper. That's not easy. And even just finding the housekeeper, let's say they go to an agency, a traditional agency, that's still literally just step one of the process. Because once you've found that person, then what? You still have to figure out, okay, how am I going to pay this person? Am I going to do it legally? What does that look like? What does the HR component look like? Who's taking care of payroll? The liability as a household employer is through the roof. How do I lessen my liability? Who's managing all of this? And these are all very basic questions that almost represent different phases in the journey that is staffing your home. And agencies literally just take care of step one, right? And obviously some agencies are fantastic, some are better than others, but they're just incentivized to place the person, make a commission, move on to the next household. With us, we're a membership model, so we're completely changing the face of the industry because we're involved every step of the way, and we handle all of the above for you. Not only do we recruit, we vet them, we put them through an incredible vetting process. I can speak for hours on that, literally. Because our name's on the line the entire way through. We have to make sure that we did a proper matching, because if you're not happy with that a year down the road, unlike agencies where you have to fire the person and pay them another $15K to replace them, we will make the replacement for free. We put our money where our mouth is. We obviously, not obviously, one of the crazy things we do is we actually hire all the staff as our W-2 employees. And this is where us taking care of our employees come into play. We hire them as W-2 employees. We provide short-term disability, long-term disability, medical, dental, and vision benefits per month, 401k, 15 days paid time off. We track their hours. Obviously, they're our employees, so we're taking care of payroll for the principal. But we're also making sure that they're getting paid overtime when they should be getting paid. They're getting the days off that they should be getting. We're not just here to make sure the principal is happy. We got to make sure the staff is happy as well. Because if both sides aren't happy and satisfied with the service, it's not going to work out in the end. And that's why turnover is so high in this industry. And unfortunately, a lot of times, the HR component is missing. You'll have these high net worth individuals who have family offices. They can take care of payroll, but they're also being tasked to take care of HR. They don't know what's happening in the household. They don't understand the intimate intricacies that happen between the staff and the principal. So we actually offer our executive chief of staff that manages the staff from afar, creates a very personal bond with the member and with the PA or the EA, because a lot of times they're the ones that are calling the shots. Constantly checking in on a weekly basis the first couple months, and then on a monthly basis after that, doing quarterly assessments. We use an app to communicate with our staff to see if there are any concerns or issues that are being swept under the rug, because a lot of times that's what happens, and then they become actual problems down the road. Voila, turnover. And the way it normally works, you got to go drop another 20% and find yourself somebody else. So we're really addressing every step of the process so that the principal and the people that work for them, their immediate team, the PA, the EA, the estate manager, they don't have to think about this. And they can worry about the other stuff that's actually, a little more important, the stuff that they're actually hired to do. So it's a very new model, doesn't exist. But I think we'll be able to make a lot of people's lives easier. So I'm really excited to provide more value than ever before for principals and to create a better quality of life for our staff in the process.
So what qualities, because a lot of these assistants listening, they've gotten that call from their executive that says, hey, I need a nanny. Can you find a nanny? What qualities do your team, look for in these private household staff that they could maybe use as they're keeping their eye out for a new nanny or a personal chef or whatever?
Well, integrity, honesty. Right off the bat, we're very keen on red flags. And the beauty of our model is if you're a member, you're a member. We're not racing against other agencies to try to play somebody. And we're just trying to find someone who's good enough. Like, yeah, we saw a couple red flags, but whatever, let's get them in there. We get to keep our commission if they last at least 2 months. With us, this is a long-term fit that we're looking for. So any little red flags, and you kind of have to really dig for them. They're big to us. So we do incredible amounts of reference checks. We try to find reference checks that aren't even provided to us. So obviously you're going to put the people, you're going to put people down as your references that you're not going to speak highly of you. What about the ones that you're not putting down as references? So we want to see if they worked for several families and only lasted a year or two in each place. That could be a red flag. Obviously you do your research and you understand why it is that they're switching around. One tip that I like to use when I interview Find out how they got each job. Were they recommended by someone, or did they constantly have to go online and go to Craigslist? Doesn't have to be a red flag, but if you're really good, you're probably getting recommended or getting asked to work by a family or by a friend of the family you're currently working for. If you have to keep going back to the internet to find your jobs, sometimes that could be a sign of sorts. We clearly, and this is what I recommend if they're sourcing themselves, you got to do your background checks, and a very in-depth one. Do a credit check. Find out if these people have had issues with money in the past. And again, I'm not putting everyone in a bucket, but a lot of times, and we've seen with experience, if people have had issues in the past with money, and something goes missing in the household, who do you think they're going to look at first? And they end up being right. People who are not in a good financial place, sometimes they could be the ones who are doing something that they shouldn't be doing. And again, every situation is its own and is unique, but that's something we look for. We do 10-panel drug screens. We're always trying to find out their personality. We actually do a personality test. We use predictive index to try to match that with our principles. So I think trying to understand how they communicate during your interview is big. Finding out what makes them tick. I like to know, and this is personally speaking, and I make my team do the same, I like to know how positive they are. This may sound silly, but as you know, I'm all about positivity. I think that determines your life, just generally speaking. So if someone tends to have a negative outlook on life, do you really want them in your household? They're going to attract negative things to them and to you, since they're now part of your home, like an extended family member in a sense. So that's big to me. Do they smile? Like, the energy that they bring into the home is very, very big. Like I said, you could be a fantastic housekeeper, but if you're not a happy person, that's a red flag to me. So there are obviously things that different executive assistants are going to look for based on the personality of their executive. But generally speaking, those are all pretty important things I'd look for.
Yeah, those are great. It's amazing how simple some of them are, but yet how people overlook them because they're desperate to fill a spot.
Exactly. It's a time crunch. And if you're an EA or a PA, you don't have time to go to the bathroom throughout the day sometimes. For you to now throw in like 5-6 interviews a day and do the reference checks and do the background checks, that's why I have a team of 11 people. It's almost impossible. And, you might get lucky. You might find someone great, or maybe it's a recommendation. But it's a full-time job.
Yeah. Awesome, Mohamed. Well, these was great tips. Loved hearing about your story. How can people find out about Nines and connect with you on Instagram and such, so that if they have questions or want to explore the service that you all provide for their principal, their executives, how can they get a hold of you?
Sure. So our website is ninesliving.com. Same for Instagram, ninesliving. And my personal Instagram handle is FitLifeByMo. Instagram won't let me change the Fit Life part, so I guess I'm going to stick with it. But yeah, absolutely looking forward to working with anyone who needs help with this kind of stuff. I think we could definitely make a very big difference in essentially giving peace of mind to the principal and to the household. So feel free to reach out to me directly or go on the website and reach out to us, and we'd love to work with you.
Awesome. Well, I'll put the links on the show notes so people can find you. And yeah, thanks again, and good luck with everything, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you, Jeremy. Thanks for having me.
Thanks again to Mohamed for being on the show. I know I've personally been asked by both of my last couple of executives to find a nanny or find a personal chef, or I get the call saying, hey, we need to find a new nanny. And it's just a lot of work to find someone trustworthy and skilled for that role. So I'm really excited to see what Nines Living does to support the assistants who are looking for household staff for their executives. So thanks again, Mohamed. Check out the show notes at leaderassistant.com/88. And be sure to check out ninesliving.com as well. Talk soon.
Please review on Apple Podcasts.